Have you ever wondered why we get frost in the morning in winter on cars? I'm going to talk to my daddy about that. Hi, I'm Maya the Science Kid. You probably heard my Bedtime Stories podcast. Sometimes when I'm driving to school and back, I have questions that I want to ask my daddy. You can listen to some of those questions in this podcast. If you like it, please let your friends know so they can listen too, and visit my website at mythesciencekid.com, where there are lots of science videos and book reviews too.
Okay, you see the frost? Do you want me to tell you about the frost? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the frost happens when it gets really cold overnight.
Okay.
But it wasn't really cold before it was night. So it got cold overnight, and it got really cold overnight, and then it was warm enough for condensation to happen, but then that condensation froze.
Okay.
Condensation, you know what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Condensation means I forgot.
Oh, what do you think it is?
I don't know.
Condensation is the moisture in the air attaching itself to different things.
All right.
Okay? Why is it attaching itself to different things?
Because it's in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And then air touches different things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And then once you have a little bit of condensation, then there's more condensation forms right around there, because water droplets attach to other water droplets. So overnight, things get really cold. The air gets really cold, and the ground gets cold. And then that condensation that is attached, that condensation that's in the air just freezes. And it freezes similar to how if you have, you know how you put something in the fridge, in the freezer,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get the snowy stuff around that thing in the freezer.
Mm-hmm. Flaky stuff?
Snowy, like it looks like snowy, frosty
It's
things. Yeah, it's the same thing. The moisture that is in that food freezes in the freezer, and then it forms like a little snowy thing around something. So if you put like a bag of strawberries, you wash a bunch of strawberries, and then you put it in the freezer. And then those strawberries, because they were washed recently, when you put them in the freezer, they'll frost in the freezer. And then if you leave that stuff in the freezer, it'll get that freezer taste.
Yeah.
Because of that frost. That's just the way it tastes. Like that frost, when we eat something that's like frosty like that, it has a different taste to our tongue. We can taste that frosty thing. And it's called freezer burn if it stays long enough.
Okay.
So the same thing is happening. So if you wanted that frost to not form when you're putting something in a freezer, what you have to do is you have to dry it really well. Dry what you want to put in the freezer first, and then you put it in the freezer. And then because it has less moisture around it, that the frost doesn't form as much. Still, some frost can form when some moisture evaporates from that item that you have, that whatever you put in the freezer. Like if it was a piece of bread can, you know how bread dries when you put it outside? Well, it can dry when you put it in the freezer too. And drying means water is coming out of it. And that water that comes out of it in the freezer becomes frost. Because it comes out in the form of water vapor. and then that water vapor freezes, then it's frost. So this morning we saw some frost. Is because it's cold enough, right around 0 degrees Celsius or 32 Fahrenheit. So it's cold enough for the moisture that was in the air to freeze. But the moisture that's in the air when it freezes, it feels like that like winter smell you have.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's moisture in the air that's frozen. Moisture on the ground, that is condensation that's on the ground. When that freezes, then you get frost.
Oh. The ground.
And then as you see the sun is hitting it now, anywhere the sun is hitting, because we're right around 0 degrees here. Right around the freezing point. It's like just around between like the fridge and freezer temperature, right around that area.
Fridge freezer temperature.
Yeah. So the sun is hitting, anywhere the sun is hitting, it is there's no more frost. See, all the frozen things on the windshield went away.
Yeah.
It wasn't all that much. There was this one time, if it had rained the night before, and then one time, if it had rained, then if it was raining the night before, so you have a lot more water, then the layer of frozen on the car is going to be a lot thicker. Then we have to get that scraper out, and then we have to scrape it in the morning. You can't just spray something on top. Do you know how that spray works?
How?
That spray has a little bit of alcohol in it, I think. Something that doesn't freeze at that temperature. Something that needs to have lower temperature for it to freeze.
Okay.
So you put that on top of the windshield, and then that goes and washes away the frost. The way it works is it mixes with the frost, and then as it mixes, the frost melts because it's now mixing with something that doesn't freeze at that temperature.
Okay.
There are some things there are some liquids that you put in the freezer. Like if you had a bottle of alcohol, like rubbing alcohol or something that you like, or like nail polish remover, I think would do the same thing. If you put that in the freezer, it's not going to freeze at the temperature of the freezer. So you take it out, it's not going to be ice, it's going to be liquid. So if you take that liquid and you put it on top of some ice, this type of ice, that liquid melts the ice because it mixes with the ice. It has to be something that's water soluble. That means it has to be able to mix with ice. It can't be something that's oil based. First of all, it's going to make our windshield oily. But it has to be something that mixes with the water. So it mixes with the water, then the whole thing, that whole mixture now is a mixture that freezes at a lower temperature, not at the temperature that we're at. So that means it melts at this temperature. It's going to be liquid at the current temperature. At this, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's the stuff you put on the windshield.
What?
That's the stuff you put on the windshield. The things that you put on the windshield. The yellow thing. Yeah.
That water soluble spray.
Yeah. The temperature at the point that something freezes is called the freezing point. And different material have different freezing points. So water's freezing point is very well known because it's at when water turns into ice.
0 degrees.
And what temperature is that?
0 degrees
0 degrees what?
Celsius.
Yeah. Or what in Fahrenheit?
100 degrees Fahrenheit.
No. 30.
34 5 degrees Fahrenheit.
No, 32.
32
Yeah.
degrees Fahrenheit.
32 Fahrenheit. And then there's a temperature point at which water boils. That's called the boiling point. For water is in Celsius is 100. So 100 Celsius, water boils.
Okay.
So different things like carbon dioxide, CO2, it's a gas. And it can freeze at a certain temperature.
You know, at a certain temperature.
And
Melt at a certain temperature.
freeze and melting at the same point, because just above it is melting, just below it is freezing.
Okay.
So freezing and melting are the same point, but boiling is different. Boiling is much higher usually, right? Not usually, always. It's always higher than freezing point. When it snows, well, if it snows, it's going to snow at some point. Usually we get a little bit of snow every year. But when it snows, we should come here if you want to see snow, because it's not going to melt here for a while, because this is a little bit of valley. This is always snowy here for a long, like a few days after snowing. It's still, snow could be melted everywhere else, but here there's going to be snowy still.
Awesome.
So, what were you thinking of telling your friends today?
I don't want to tell you.
You don't want to tell me? Okay. Is it a secret, or you just don't want to tell me?
Don't want to tell you.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you.
Okay, well, then have a good day at school.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.